Hello. Just thought I'd do a very quick video about keeping warm in a van. I don't know if you can see through there. It's a couple of weeks away from Christmas, and we're out shopping, getting busy. Keeping warm in a van. It's only my take on it, really. Everybody got their own take on it, but important things are your feet, really. Your feet, if you're going to live in a van, your feet will be cold. Accept it. So my advice there is to get a load of old rugs, mats, carpets, blankets, whatever, and just sling them on the floor, you know. And also a B&M, this video really is for the English people or the British people. If you're in America you won't have B&M, but B&M have socks called duvet socks, 3.2 tog, and they're about £3 a pair, something like that, but they're really thick, really warm and lovely. I've also bought just recently some of these very thick slippers. They're absolutely lovely. So with me hot socks and with me slippers on, a couple of extra carpets on the floor, then we're reasonably okay. Still cold feet, you always get cold feet. Don't ever move into a van thinking you're going to be living in a house, because it's not. How to keep warm, really. Hot drinks, soup, stews, good old-fashioned stuff. And I think that theme will run through this video, old-fashioned stuff, you know. Old-fashioned flannelette sort of sheets. Old-fashioned duvets, like feather, duck-filled feather duvet things, you know. A good quality sleeping bag, keep warm. Fleeces, hats, scarves, gloves, it's all stuff you know, but invest in it, invest in good quality stuff, you know. On a freezing cold night sometimes I wear a fleece, midriff sort of fleece with a hood, quite a big. I bought, I suppose I could have bought large, and I bought extra large, because I wanted it to really fit me, really be loose and I can move in it and stuff like that. But the main thing is the hood is a great big hood that can come over, because I get cold ears and a cold neck at night. And that's sometimes what I sleep in, you know. Or there's sort of flannelette type pyjamas if you're into wearing pyjamas. And layers, really. In the day, layer up a little bit. You wear a t-shirt and a sort of a sweatshirt type thing, and perhaps a jumper and perhaps a coat, you know, so you've got 3, 4, 5 layers on, whatever it is. And that holds the body heat in a little bit. If you go to 99p store, if you go to Poundland or B&M, places like that, you can get these cheap, nasty window reflective things like silver bubble wrap. And if you bring the insole of your shoe out and mark around that and cut around that and sling that in your shoe, that the body heat gets pushed back up into the foot, and it gets the cold gets repelled. So when you're walking on ice and snow and really bitterly cold frosty grass and what have you, your feet can remain reasonably warm. Again, a good pair of socks as well. You can also buy things like hand warmers and toe warmers from these shops that I just mentioned. They're about £1 for 5, and you can put them inside your gloves or in your feet, in your socks and whatever, you know, and go out for a bit of a bimble just to stay warm for a while. They don't last too long, but you can stay warm for a while. Hot water bottles are fantastic. Again, very old-fashioned, but they're fantastic. Doesn't cost much to boil a kettle, does it really? And I've got 2 hot water bottles, and I often have one when I'm sitting here sometimes, if I'm reading, meditating, doing a piece of art, whatever. I can have one in the crook of my back and one on the floor, so I put my feet on it so I get warm feet. It's always your feet will suffer living in a van. So try and raise your feet if you can, you know. I use an electric blanket, a big 6-foot by 6-foot electric throw, but I use that in my bed when I'm plugged in. And that's lovely. To go into bed, feel nice and warm, that's lovely. When I'm wild camping, I tend to use gas, obviously, but I leave it on all night. A lot of people don't. I've got detectors in here, smoke alarms, things like that, so I'm not bothered about it, and it's not done me any harm yet. But I leave it on very, very low, and it literally just clicks on and off, and it's not much more than just the pilot light. It doesn't cost a lot, but it's just an ambient temperature, just a constant temperature. The trouble with a van is you turn the heating on and within 15 minutes it's quite warm, within half an hour it's unbearable, then you turn it off and within 15 minutes it starts cooling down, within half an hour you want to put it back on again. So it doesn't retain the heat like a house, obviously. So my advice there is whatever heating you use, electric, gas, whatever, you know, have it on low. Most efficient form of heating is a wood burner, as we all know, and wood is just about everywhere. I don't have a wood burner, but I've seen wood dotted around this country, piles and piles of it going to waste, rotting away. It's free heat, you can't beat it, can you really? And it looks lovely. But back today, I tell you, let me sit properly. Yeah, so just loads of warm drinks and things like that, and yeah, buy a good quality hat or scarf or something like that really. Again, to layer up is just a sensible thing. You can always take layers off, can't you really, if you get warm. Hopefully you get warm. You know, it's not as bad as I'm making out. But we need to be warm. We need to be warm at all times, don't we? I said in a video a long time ago, if you're warm, you're happy. If you're happy, you're well. That's it. That's where it ends. It stops there. If you're warm, you're happy. And if you're happy, you're well. Job done. So you remain warm. It brings on a sense of happiness. When you're happier, you do feel much better within yourself. So I don't bother about the cost, you know, of gas or electric or whatever. I don't bother about the cost. The whole idea of living in a van is that you don't pay council tax, you don't pay mortgage, you don't pay rent, blah blah blah. So it's a very, very cheap form of living. So whatever it costs, and you're warm. You know, what price do you put on being warm? You know, how to be warm in a van? Get a dog and cuddle your dog. You know, I think it's important to get outside as well. It sounds ridiculous, but even on a cold day, you know, get those muscles moving, get that blood pumping, get that heart banging away in your chest. You get extra warm that way, and then you come in and it does feel much warmer in here, you know. So try and get out as often as possible. I don't know whether you're cycling, walking, running, doing whatever you're doing, but just do something outside. Get outside, and not for 5 minutes. Try and walk if you can for an hour or two, you know. Really get yourself moving, get those joints and muscles warmed up. Nothing worse than sitting here hunched up feeling freezing cold, you know. There's times when you can't go out, and when you can't go out, when it's perhaps, I don't know, raining or snowing or whatever, then yeah, you can do some other things. You have a nice hot water bottle, cuddle a hot water bottle is a lovely thing really. If you've got a microwave, you can have these things, they're called oats bags, and they're quite long. You just warm them up for a minute or two in the microwave, and you can put one of those around your neck or just cuddle it or whatever. And you can also buy similar sort of things. They're like gel, plastic gel bag, again from cheap shops. Wilko and I think Tesco's and Morrison's and places like that also have them. Put them in, you can either put them in the microwave for a minute, or you can pop them into a saucepan of boiling water and just boil them up, you know, for about, I don't know, maybe 60 seconds, something like that, and they just hold their heat for a number of hours. They're very, very good. They've got like a crystal gel thing, whatever it is, inside them. I think also is to have quite a lot of stuff around you, really, you know. Certainly like big thick curtains and what have you that I've got here that cover either the bulkhead if you're in a self-build, or in my case we've got the cab there. Cover those windows, you know, get rid of the cab for the evening, and just keep the heat in here as much as you can possibly keep. But to have things around you that are going to retain the warmth, you know, wood or material, whatever, you know. I think if you live in a minimal sort of lifestyle, then it's very cold to the touch anyway. You can get the outside and the inside sort of bubble wrap type window fittings, you know, so they stop you frosting up, stop moisture, and stop some of the cold coming in as well. Relatively cheap, you know, but if you're going to get them you know, cut to shape and what have you, they might be quite expensive, but they're still probably quite well worth it really. What price do you put on being warm? That's the whole thing really, you know. Now I woke up today and I was quite warm really. It's 9 degrees in here. I did wake up about 3 o'clock and I had the heating on for about an hour in the morning. Then I turned it off and I went to bed to put my heated blanket on and had a few more hours in there. About 6 o'clock I woke up, it was 9 degrees. So it was not comfortable, it was kind of okay, chilly but okay. First thing I did, I put the gas heating on, made a nice Slurpee, and I went on the laptop. Within 20 minutes we're lovely and warm. So you know, it's just to be very mindful of that really. I've got a temperature gauge or thermometer gauge, whatever you want to call it, an in and out one, and I can look at that because sometimes you can sit here and you're not quite sure how cold it is and stuff like that. If I look at it right now, we've got 16.1 degrees inside and it's 11.8 degrees outside. 11.8 degrees in December. Wonderful. We have got Storm Caroline coming, which is apparently going to bring 40-mile-an-hour winds, some snow and very, very cold temperatures, and it's going to drop just below freezing. So in the next 3 days we're going to be very, very cold. So 11 degrees outside now is wonderful. It's a blessing. And make hay while the sun shines is the thing, isn't it really? Get out while you can. Today is a day to get out and about, do all your shopping, get all your bits in, do whatever before you're hankered down. So that's what I'm doing. I've got my meds today. I'm getting some diesel today. I've just done a shop here. I'm doing a shop around the corner. I'm going to go and have a crafty KFC in a minute. So I will be well packed up with food for the next 10 days, something like that. So regardless of how cold it gets, I've got a full gas bottle and one that's about half full. I'm also on a site, so I'm plugged into electric, and I have just over £22 on there. So I've got enough gas and electric certainly to last me 10 days, and enough food, hot drinks, etc. to last me at least 10 days. I've got my hot water bottles, I've got my electric blanket, I've got my hot socks, my duvet socks, my thick slippers, a lovely scarf that my friend Vicky knitted for me, which is cool. You know, I've got some warm hats and gloves and things like that, so we're going to be absolutely fine. Just a matter of keeping as warm as possible really. You can also, if you wanted to, you could break down cardboard boxes, just sort of break them down and put them on the floor, and they just help a little bit really, with a little bit more insulation. Again, it's your feet that will suffer. So if you're going to be living in a van, it's your feet. It's always your feet. And there's not a lot you can do with it, but accept it and make the best of it really, you know. Fact is, it's winter. How long is it going to last, you know? 11 degrees in winter. We're on about the 7th or whatever it is of December, and we're 11.9. It is 11.9 degrees outside, 16.3 degrees inside now, so it's going up, which is wonderful. So getting on for 12 degrees outside. Now it will drop, of course it will drop, but very soon we're going to be back in the spring, then the summer. And when you live in a van, the spring is lovely, the summer is lovely, and most of the autumn is lovely as well. So you've only got a very, very short period where you are cold. But if you put all those things in place that I just said, you know, from, don't be afraid to use a site, plug on with their electric and whatever, you know. But to buy some good quality clothing, get some soup or some Slurpees in and things like that. Cover your floor with a few extra whatever you've got, and just keep as warm as possible, because it doesn't last. Spring will be on its way. I hope that's given you just maybe a few ideas. Take care. Be well. Try and be glorious.